opening the doors for opportunities or for catastrophes or for mistakes and structural mistakes, like as what happened in France and a lot of religious institutions being attacked. You will, however, see changes of governments slowly but surely over the next year. And the reason for that is mainly because Saturn and Jupiter will be joining in the fall in Sagittarius. Jupiter will be in the company of Ketu and Saturn. So even though Jupiter will be in its own sign, Sagittarius, which is kind of a righteous sign, it will also, Sagittarius is considered sort of like almost too self-righteous. I remember we went to war in Iraq when Saturn was exalted in Cancer. So let's say if somebody decides they want to fulfill a mission or fight for a mission, it's more likely to have a small war after Jupiter enters Sagittarius than it is right now. And when I say small, I actually did some research on this. And the last time we had Saturn, Ketu, and Jupiter in Sagittarius was back in 1870. And that caused the that coincided with the Franco-Prussian War at the end of Reformation, and there was also a minor stock market panic. So he expects to see those kinds of things, but they were very quick. Everything that happened during that particular transit happened very quick. It was over within a matter of the panic was caught and stopped. And I'll give you more specific dates on when I think that'll happen. The panic was caught and stopped within a month of a new president taking office. The Reformation was essentially just killed, which was unfortunate, but that's really what happened. And the Franco-Prussian War took place within a matter of 6 weeks. It shifted the balance of power in Europe, so the Germans became a much more formidable entity, but it really didn't last that long, but it did result in the overthrow of a government. So you'll see at least one major government overthrown over the next year or so. Now that doesn't mean it's the United States, it doesn't mean it's any particular country. I haven't worked strongly or worked exactingly enough on that to give a prediction as to which government I think it'll be. I'm still doing research on that, but likely candidates for, and to be honest with you, there are some likely candidates for conflict, but I don't feel comfortable talking about those. Maybe I'll talk about those next month. And the main reason I'm being hesitant is, number one, I want to be sure of what I'm seeing. Number two, I really don't want to panic anybody. Sometimes these events will give trade wars or something like that, which it looks like we're heading towards, but again, it depends on the Mahadasha of the country, the major planetary period of the country. It also depends on how the countries are getting along and whether or not they can work out things diplomatically. So are we going to have a major war? Sometime, yeah, but maybe not. God, it's like decades in the future. There's nothing really right around the corner. And even that's not going to be, at least from what I can tell from the charts I've looked at, isn't going to be a world-destroying war. So a lot of astrologers right now are sort of like, I don't want to say in general, but some people, let me put it that way, are pushing the panic button, and I think it's a little bit too early to be pushing the panic button. There is big change in the United States over the next over the next 15 years. That's for sure. So essentially, that's something that we have both to look forward to, and also, for depending on which side you're on, something to be a little bit concerned about. But I don't think it's going to be a bad change. I think it's going to be a positive change for the country. The other thing to look at, and also for the world. I think it's going to be a positive change for the world. The other things to keep in mind is eclipses tend to give us a chance to look at areas in our life where we're unhappy and say, so let's say we're unhappy with relationship life. Well, we can look at the relationship life and say, okay, what seems to be the problem? Let's analyze this. Let's figure out what the problem is. What's the problem with my car, or what's the problem with my happiness? And it actually opens the door for opportunities to change careers, to change jobs, to change luck, to change opportunities for ourselves. So Rahu, although it tends to grasp at things and not get them, it actually breaks barriers open. It can actually be very positive for people. It can actually expand fame for some people. Rahu is a great fame-making planet. So most people I've seen during Rahu major planetary periods become like big stars or super well known. And I think, and even during Ketu subperiods, although it's a little bit lesser. So I think that one of the things to keep in mind is that it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. So let's say you're sitting around and kind of discussing this next month with whatever element of your life that you're unhappy about. Look over your options, see what you can do about it. Take the most constructive and least destructive path you can. And that sounds kind of Pollyanna-ish, I know, but really that's really the only way to face these changes, because the changes are going to happen regardless. If you don't act, if you just sit there and take it, that's fine, but sometimes you'll look back and say, geez, I could have done this at that time. And you'll never know unless you take the chance or the opportunity. It's always better to take a risk and to try new things and to try new adventures, and then you can assess what happened, what went wrong, what went right. Am I happy with the choices I've made? And that's really the only way we grow. Sometimes a very spiritual person would probably just sit there and say, okay, I'm going to let this pass because this isn't going to matter in the long run as well. And that's also a choice. But when these changes come up, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have catastrophic news. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have bad things happen to you. It means you're going to have opportunities enter your life. This is particularly true for people born between September 15th and October 15th, between December 15th and January 15th, between March 15th and April 15th, and between June 15th and July 15th. And those correspond to the signs of Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini in Indian astrology. So they don't exactly coincide. So remember, the 15th of the following month. So if you're using a Western astrology tracking, the sign starts the 15th day of the following month, roughly speaking. There are some minor exceptions, but roughly speaking, that's when they start. And these are actually great opportunities to try new things, to do new things, and they're actually minimal risk because you're being pushed to change anyway. It's something that's going to be coming to you anyway. And the signs that are going to have financial challenges are probably going to be people born between July 15th and August 15th. That's sidereal Cancer. Between those born between August 15th and September 15th will actually have chances for financial gains, but they should be a little bit wary of their friendships and people using them once they actually get this financial reward. And I realize that sounds a little paranoid, but that's really what the indications are. They should also be wary of children being a little bit difficult to deal with, and and unexpected relationships entering their lives. But basically they're not good relationships. People born between October 15th and November 15th those will be Vedic Libras, should have chances for change in education, long journeys. They'll also have chances for new educational opportunity. They'll have unusually good luck in relationships for like about 1 month. So they'll get a lot of temptations in relationships for about 1 month, and then those temptations will pass, and you'll figure out whether or not you want to pursue that relationship or not. That's if you're single. If you're not, there's a chance that you'll be tempted to engage in an extramarital affair, which I would strongly recommend against, especially during that month. I recommend against it in general, but I'm just saying especially in that month. For those born when the sun is in Scorpio Vedically, that would be between November 15th and December 15th. There'll be chances to access financial gains, especially for the relationship partner, but there will also be some unexpected problems or difficulties in home life. So home life will seem a little bit peculiar, a little bit difficult. Also, these people should be careful about their health in general because of Venus moving out of the 6th house of protection and moving into the 7th house, where it can be afflicted with all sorts of stomach disorders. It doesn't mean anybody with this combination is going to get really, really sick. It just means that they're more prone to stomach disorders at that time. People born between January 15th and February 15th, that'll be Vedic sign Capricorn. Those individuals, I think, should be very careful about getting into fights with relationship partners, arguments with relationship partners. Expenses also look like an issue for that particular sign, although money will come in. But there'll be unexpected expenses, especially connected with family and house. And also, they'll also have opportunities to get rid of enemies or get rid of opponents. People born during sidereal Aquarius, which is between March 15th and April 15th, should expect to encounter, again, a lot of luck. Some love potential is there because of Venus Rahu, so some very attractive people may become interested in you, but their flings may turn into something longer lasting, may not. Also, they'll have to watch out for stomach issues or stomach problems just because of Mars and Mercury in the 6th house. And they'll also have to watch about income being not what they quite thought it was. So income possibilities, career life will be good. Career life will give them a lot of opportunities, but income will always be they'll always underestimate a little bit what they need to spend. So caution in purchasing is recommended strongly. The other signs I originally mentioned, those are like the pivotal signs. Those are changeable signs, like Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius will have great opportunities to change careers. They'll get really interesting career opportunities. They'll get really interesting relationship opportunities if they're so interested in it. Gemini will, June 15th to July 15th is kind of a difficult sign. It's been really the most afflicted sign. Gemini and Sagittarius have been the most afflicted sign over the past couple of years. And they'll continue to have that. But this Venus in the 1st house for Gemini will give some recognition, some support. They'll look stunningly good. They'll be very attractive. And they'll acquire some fame, maybe even international fame during this particular transit. So that's good for them. In terms of relationship life, they may have a flame or something that will come into their life very quickly, and it'll also, I think, leave very quickly. But I'm hoping for their sake that it stays for a while. So essentially, when we're talking about the signs, this is a broad overview. I also do personal readings. I'm at Crystal Expectations. I've been there for close to 30 years now. I've done readings for people from all walks of life, from all over the world. I have students from all over the world. I'm going to be teaching at Kepler College, which is based out of Washington State, in the fall. I taught there previously in roughly between 2007 and 2011, and essentially Kepler's a college which is dedicated to the study of astrology, and astrology as a career. So you might want to check out their website, kepler.edu. It's a really interesting school. They have a lot of courses. They don't just teach Vedic, they teach Western astrology, they teach all kinds of astrology, and they approach it not only from a practical but from a scholarly standpoint. I'm also starting the Great International School of Astrology. I have astrologists from all over the world who specialize in Vedic astrology, but also some Middle Eastern astrologies and some Western astrologers. And essentially what we're trying to do is provide astrology to students in their native language. And I'm aware, I think, of only one other school that tries to do that, and I don't think they have the range of astrology that we have. Plus, we have one of the great families of Vedic astrology, B.V. Raman's family, associated with the school. So, Niranjan Babu is teaching a subject called Vastu, which is sort of like, it's inaccurate, but it's Indian feng shui. It's essentially how to set up the building, how to set up your premises for optimal luck and for optimal suitability. So it's really, we're really excited about this. And it's something we've been trying to pull together for a few years, and it looks like it's finally coming together. The other thing that we're looking at is you can always contact me. My contact information is right at the end of the video. If you're not fast enough to catch that, I'm at Crystal Expectations. You can look that up on Facebook or on the internet. But also, you can catch these broadcasts on YouTube. I've been uploading these broadcasts to YouTube.